Picture this. You're accused of a crime, but instead of having a lawyer, a jury, seeing the evidence against you and being innocent until proven guilty, you're just sentenced. No trial, no appeal. Now, that's not exactly what happens in our public school system, but in a lot of places, it's not far off.
There were 101,000 kids expelled in the last school year for which we have numbers, and I think 2.6 million suspensions.
That's Erin Einhorn, a veteran education reporter. For the last year, she's been focused on one thing: school discipline.
I ended up talking to more than 50 families from 20 different states about a range of harsh school discipline issues: suspension, expulsion, alternative schools, school-based arrests, seclusion, restraint. And the one common theme that I heard across all of these 50-some families was this feeling of powerlessness. The school has the power, the school decides, and in a lot of states, there's no appeal process. Your ability to defend yourself from these kinds of charges really depends on where you live, what state, what district are you, which school your parents choose for you.
Due process does not exist in the school system here in Alabama. It does not exist.
Corey Jones's son, CJ, was a senior in high school, and before his suspension was a star baseball player with big plans.
Playing my senior year, having my dad and mom walk me out for senior game day for baseball, taking my mom to prom. It was going good. I had goals set, things that I wanted to fulfill that year, but I couldn't.
Without getting too into the nitty-gritty of his case, on one occasion, CJ rode to school in a car with 4 other kids. A school police officer said 2 of the kids smelled like weed, and when the officer searched the car they had all been in, he did find weed.
When I got in the car, wasn't no marijuana on my side. When I stepped out the car, wasn't no marijuana on my side. It was basically like they word against my word. It's funny also because if that was so true, everybody in the car would be smelling like weed, not just 2 people.
The police eventually did an investigation and charged a different kid with possession, but that didn't stop the school from punishing CJ. It took months for the hearing to actually happen, and CJ was forced into an in-school suspension every school day he waited.
I'm crying out for help. Nobody would never help. And it was a consistently thing. Like I say, days turned to weeks and weeks turned to months.
The district eventually decided to send CJ to an alternative school for 45 days, which ruled out baseball season for him.
No one listened to him. No one had the time to listen to him. It just automatically assumed this is what it is. You accept what we give you, that's it.
Corey believes that if you saw the security video outside the school, that it would have cleared him because the other kids had gone to a different car or something like that. They wouldn't let him see the security video. They wouldn't let him see the investigative report. There's no witnesses that he can cross-examine.
If they destroy him now at an early age, they got him whooped in long term. It's not gonna happen on my watch.
CJ's dad placed his son in an online school, and CJ was able to graduate. CJ said that next he wants to go to college, and then after that, professional baseball.
This ain't finna stop me. There ain't nothing else gonna stop me. There's just something in the way that came in the way, and we jumped right over.
The schools have a great deal of authority to make these decisions, as they should, some would argue, but there's not a lot of oversight.
According to Erin's reporting, school leaders say they rely on suspensions and expulsions to address difficult, dangerous, and disruptive behaviors. Without sufficient resources to address the complex challenges driving student misconduct, they use these punishments to hold students accountable and maintain order in classrooms.
A lot of states, your only recourse is to sue. And that's going to take a year or 2 or 3 years. And by that time, is this kid out of school that whole time? Suspension and expulsion is a very big deal. There has been decades of research where they've tracked students over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and they find significant differences.
The stats here are wild. One study showed that any suspension at all, even for like a day, resulted in an 8% drop in high school graduation likelihood. Those same kids are 94% more likely to be arrested as a minor. In another study, only 48% of students who were disciplined as a 9th grader graduated in 4 years, versus 84% of students who weren't. And it's not just the kids who personally get suspended who suffer. In schools that use suspension more often, those kids are 15 to 20% more likely to be arrested or locked up as an adult. When I spoke to Erin, she said that at the national level, most of the advocacy around school discipline is mostly focused on getting rid of suspensions and expulsions completely. Advocates look at the stats you just saw and conclude exclusionary discipline is both incredibly harmful and ultimately ineffective.
I connected with a 10-year-old boy who was expelled from school, and I was stunned by this story. I mean, really just shaken by it, because not only was this kid kicked out of this charter school, but then he goes to go to his neighborhood, district school, and they won't take him either, because in Michigan, as in many states, if you're expelled from one school, you're expelled from all of them.